Welcome back. Last week, the House Intelligence Committee heard testimony from experts revealing modern neuro weaponry, much like what is suspected to be the cause of the Havana syndrome. If you recall, back in 2017, U.S. and Canadian diplomats in Havana, Cuba, were subjected to suspected attacks affecting their cognitive abilities. Physicians examining the affected state the victim suddenly felt symptoms of loud noise exposure, pressure sensations, ear pain, and ringing in the ears and dizziness. Many also suffered from cognitive impairments well after the fact. Take a listen to part of what was discussed at the hearing.
Guys, if your assessments here are correct, these are very covert weapons, aren't they?
That's correct. There's no entry or exit wound. How they're designed is to make the target feel like they're crazy, like they're imagining things.
And you guys also said that these attacks are happening right here in this city. Is that correct?
I mean, there have been some that have gone public with respect to Washington, D.C.
I think it was Mr. Grozev said you spoke to a Russian agent who said that they believe that Americans are using these same weapons on them. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Might that have something to do with part of the CIA's motive to cover up the existence of this tech and these weapons?
That is a very logical possibility.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Now, much of this still remains a mystery, or at least the government has not revealed all the details outlining what they do know. But what was made clear in the House testimony is that we still have yet to understand an entirely new class of weaponry. Joining us now to discuss, Senior Pastor at Rock Harbor Church, Pastor Brandon Holthaus. Pastor Brandon, thanks so much for being back with us. It's great to see you.
Good to see you, Alison. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Well, I am curious to get your thoughts on this. Why do you think our government is concealing the information they have pertaining to these silent weapons? And why is it that seemingly most government officials just avoid the brain control tech discussion entirely?
No, because they know exactly what's happening. They have been working on these kinds of technologies to be able to do this. I mean, think about if you could make someone feel crazy, right, and disturb them, and throw them off balance. You could do this to political opponents. You could do this to entire people, voting blocks. So this is not out of the realm of these very nefarious people, like in the CIA and these other types of secret societies and institutions of our government. We're now finding out the use of AI can be used against people. We've already heard from the World Economic Forum that they have the ability with AI to be able to read people's thoughts by putting in a little Bluetooth in someone's ear, that they can actually see what someone is actually thinking about as they're working. And they're going to sell it to us, Alison, as this is going to be good for employment because employers will know whether or not their employees are daydreaming or thinking about other things other than the job. But what is it saying? It is saying that they now possess the ability to read our thoughts and now weaponize us with acoustical types of things that can be sent to us that throws us off balance or makes us feel crazy. This is all, where is it going? All about controlling the narrative, controlling people.
Absolutely. That is most certainly what it is all about, as has been made rather clear over the past couple of years especially. But yeah, I think this could obviously take an extremely dangerous turn here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this led to targeting and testing and even like torturing of innocent civilians, which brings me to my next thought, which is the inevitable threat of artificial intelligence mixing into all this, right? Mix AI into the use of neuro weaponry and you get an entirely new uncharted territory. Pastor Brandon, do you have any thoughts on this and how dangerous of a course it will be when humans are removed from the decision matrix of warfare?
Well, you think about it, Elon Musk is toying with this idea. They've already experimented with Neuralink of putting things in people's brains and then being able to control them from that standpoint. So the technology is there. And then, again, what is the World Economic Forum and what are the elites talking about? They're talking about humans 2.0 or transhumans. And the whole idea is that we would have these biological sensors in our bodies, and then they could read our thoughts, know our emotions, know whether we're hungry or not, or anything like that. And so now it's a warfare of information. They will have everything on you. They will know we're coming and going. And so this kind of warfare, this kind of being able to target individuals. And think about this. There is no way to detect. There's no entry point. There's no exit point like a bullet would have.
Yeah.
They could just target somebody, and they're saying, yeah, he went crazy. Yeah, I'm sorry. We and then turn a kill switch on somebody, and them lose a thread. Now, where is this all going? Prophetically, we have to understand this.
Yes.
This is going eventually into the hands of the Antichrist in the future. That he's going to be able to control the system and control every human being. And what we're seeing, Alison, is the technology exists for one man to control the entire world like this.
Yeah, I think that you're spot on. That's exactly what this is all about. It certainly is frightening. And, if our government actually wants to be of use and be helpful for a change, I think they should get involved and, start investigating this and warning at least about the dangers of where this is going. But, of course, I don't think the government is really ever here to help, unfortunately.
You're right. You're
but,
right.
I do think it's interesting because over 20 years ago, I think it was Steven Spielberg's film Minority Report came out that sort of pre-programmed and predicted a coming age of total surveillance and predictive policing, or policing of policies, really, just completely upending the right to due process. Now there's an interesting story. There are thousands of criminal cases facing legal challenges because advanced AI was used in the tracking down and evidentiary proceedings against multiple defendants. What are your thoughts on this? Are we just on the precipice of a modern-day Minority Report surveillance grid where we are judged before our actions? And have they already primed this path by government and tech collusion to cancel so many of our social media and bank accounts, thereby, excluding many from ever even interacting in this ever-changing world?
You hit the nail on the head. It is charging people criminally without them doing the act. Mm-hmm. So it's the concept of the thought police. Now, China is already doing this, Alison. Yeah. So they are the model for the United States or any other government that wants to be able to control its people. And so, yes, the thought police, the idea that we will criminalize you even before you do anything wrong because you don't fit the narrative. Imagine this. The AI has the ability to tell how you're emotionally reacting to something. So, for instance, like as a Christian, if they put in front of you a scenario of, do you support gay marriage? They could actually read your emotions towards that and say that person's red flagged, mm-hmm. and that person is persona non grata. They're not going to be able to go to college. They're not going to be able to have a job at a certain sector of society. This is the ultimate control prison. It's a prison without walls, Alison, to where they can basically enslave you and you can just stay at home. They don't need a prison anymore because they can control the technology around you. And then think about this. The AI would be connected to your buying and selling, mm-hmm. and your banking and how you spend your money. So they could easily say, you know what, we're not going to let you purchase anything anymore or purchase this or whatever. It's the ultimate control and not having to put you in a prison. Yeah. It's a prison without walls.
Exactly. And none of these tyrants will ever be held accountable because, as you mentioned, there's no evidence of them doing this through these silent neuro weapons. It is just truly terrifying, to say the least. But with all that we've discussed here, Pastor Brandon, and given that today is actually the 76th anniversary of the modern state of Israel, I'd love for you to speak to the parallels of what the Bible describes in the last days before Jesus' return.
Yeah, and God's timepiece is Israel. And so what we're watching around the world, Alison, is this global anti-Semitism coming against Israel. And even the Biden administration is becoming the most anti-Semitic administration we have ever seen. Now, think about this. What prophecy predicts is that Israel will be isolated. And they will go into the tribulation period in this isolated state and then do a deal with the devil, so to speak, the Antichrist. And think about this. The best friend for Israel will be the Antichrist, who then turns on them. But this is where it's going. So the trajectory that we're seeing, this anti-Semitism, Israel's fighting alone. And now the daylight is showing between the United States and Israel, and Biden's saying, I'm not going to give you any weapons if you go into Rafah. This is exactly what the Bible predicts, the isolation of Israel. before she gets into the tribulation. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing to live through it and witness it all happening, but hopefully it is indeed an indicator that the Lord is returning soon. Pastor
Amen.
Brandon, thank you so much for all of the great
All
work that
right.
you do, and thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, Alison. We'll see you next time.
See you then.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.